There's a development tonight in the rail blockades in this country. The Wetsuweten hereditary chiefs say some progress is being made about the RCMP presence on their territory in northern BC. Protests, though, and blockades keep happening elsewhere. Today, one reached a potentially dangerous new level. A fire was lit along the tracks in Tyendinaga, Mohawk territory. That's not far from the scene of a major police operation earlier this week. The flaming debris eventually forced that train to stop temporarily. The federal transport minister calls what happened extremely reckless. David Akin reports.
A CN rail engineer sounds his horn time and time again. But protesters remain on the track.
The train's not stopping, the train's not stopping.
And then, at the last moment, these self-described Mohawk warriors scurry for safety. Some pick up rocks to hurl at the passing train. This dramatic video was filmed by one of the protesters and streamed live on the group's Facebook site. Now, though Ontario Provincial Police dismantled a separate barricade at Tyendinaga on Monday, these protesters are at a new site 2 kilometers away. And when CN Rail put its first trains through here in nearly 3 weeks, some protesters threw burning debris on the tracks to try to stop it.
This was an extremely reckless act and something that not only put in danger the life of the people who were actually lighting this fire under a moving train, but also could have been very dangerous for many other people.
Then, later in the day, at another rail crossing 9 kilometers west, a car is driven onto the tracks and set on fire. But the Tyendinaga protesters say they will not stand down until the RCMP leave Wetsuweten territory in northern BC. And further east in the Quebec Mohawk community of Ganawage, more blockades, also in support of the Wetsuweten.
The Canadian government has to come to an agreement with the Wet'suwet'en chiefs. That's what it's all about, and that's where the pressure should be.
Meanwhile, Quebec Premier François Legault suggested Wednesday that the Ganawage protesters were armed with AK-47 assault rifles. Legault offered no proof, though, and Mohawk leaders accused Legault of inflaming tensions.
There's no armaments, there's no arms or anything like that, you know.
But it's clear that tension continues to build at many of these flashpoints across the country, and that tension may not begin to recede until the Wet'suwet'en hereditary chiefs resolve their differences with the RCMP. Donna? Okay, David Akin in Ottawa, thanks. There was some optimism earlier today from those hereditary chiefs about the presence of the RCMP, and there were more talks today, but late today, it seemed to fall apart. The chiefs said only partial concessions have been made by the federal and provincial governments. They want the RCMP and Coastal GasLink off their territory. The chiefs claim both governments have now pulled out of talks with cabinet ministers that it was thought might happen tomorrow. Global's Sarah MacDonald is in northern BC and explains how the day played out.
Signs of optimism and dialogue Wednesday in northern BC as Wet'suwet'en Nation's hereditary chiefs return to the table for another day of talks.
Their willingness federally to come here is there. And our hope is that today will be the day we can move forward.
That this week have involved former longtime Member of Parliament Nathan Cullen, acting as an intermediary between all sides involved in a standoff over pipeline politics. Arrests on Indigenous lands only adding fuel to the fire of a national crisis that's quickly veering off the rails.
The injunction says that we're trespassing on CN property. As far as we're concerned, CN is trespassing in our territory.
This chief of Gitxsan Nation, a longtime neighbor and ally of the Wet'suwet'en. One of those detained on Monday as RCMP moved in to clear a blockade erected in solidarity with his hereditary counterparts.
The Gitxsan Nation couldn't very well stand by and let them take all the heavy lifting.
But a large faction of Wet'suwet'en people, like Bonnie George, are banking on the benefits promised by that lucrative proposed natural gas pipeline and on constructive dialogue.
The ones that are protesting across Canada and downtown Vancouver, they have jobs to go back to, and our people don't have jobs.
Many here welcome the economic opportunity offered by the multi-billion-dollar project, given the green light by band councils and backed by the provincial and federal governments.
We feel like we're being bullied by people who are supposed to be our leaders.
But not the traditional leaders, who maintain their conditions must be met first before any talks with Ottawa, as all eyes remain on Wet'suwet'en Nation.
And that's a Global Sarah MacDonald reporting from northern BC. Late today, word no further talks are planned, so it looks like it is back to square one.